Hey guys, Jimmy Bremner and Dexter, the boy, CTOA. We're on the urban trail and taking up all the room here. In the comments, somebody asked me to speak about camp knives, and I mean, it's a huge spectrum, and it really gets down to what you're comfortable with and what you like. It's got nothing to do with a price range or having the absolute best. It's about what works, right? And I showed you the cleaver that I picked up, antique cleaver I picked up at a yard sale, and I find it better than a hatchet. So there's all kinds of ways that you can skin a cat. So I'm going to talk about some fixed blades, and then some folders, and some eating tools. Okay, so let's start out with what I think is, my humble opinion, a good camp knife. All right. So I'm going to start out with the Kukri, and the reason I say that is because it has a lot of weight forward. It's very sharp, and it doubles as a hatchet. Okay, so I've got a double duty tool here, and again, this one is from Nepal, and I think it's great. I mean, and it's crazy sharp, So it does double duty for me. Oh look, I still have one of the eating tools in it. If you get a Kukri, a real one, what you'll find is it has two of these little eating tools in the scabbard, but that's actually what they're for. They're for eating. So that's Kukri, and again, I think they're awesome. I don't know what else to say about them. And again, they're not too expensive, but it's again a double duty type of thing, right? Probably after that, I know people beat this knife up all the time. I talked about it before. It's your pilot's survival knife. Okay, you can get these at surplus. I think Ontario Knives makes one. I think Camilla still makes one. And again, you get a really nice leather sheath with it. You get a sharpening stone, and I can put my ferro rod in there, no problem, and I can carry that. And of course, I can tape actually there is a seal needle. There's a needle in there in behind. So I think this is a really good sort of beginner's knife. Like I said, I don't baton knives. Never say never, never say always. But there's a way. If you have a knife that's not full tang and you want to baton it, don't hold it here. Hold it there on the blade, and that way you're not creating that metal fatigue that ultimately will break a knife with a rat tail tang. But I really don't see any reason to baton a knife. If you do, cool. I just don't do it. Next I'm going to do, and again, these come in around $60. Next I'm going to do the Mora. Okay, and I think this is called a Cansbull, and this is a really good, inexpensive knife. Comes in about $35, $40. Has a Scandi grind on it, has a 90-degree spine. This one is stainless, okay, and it has a really good scabbard with it that you can use as a dangler. It has actually a button. I don't know if you can see that. Got a buttonhole opening on the back, so you can put it on your outside of your winter clothing, and you can get at it. Of course, it has drain holes in the bottom, and this is exceptional for around $40. It's exceptional. In fact, if you get one of these, I'd say buy two, but if you get one of these, it'll last forever. So I don't think really you could go wrong, especially if you're just starting out with something, Mora. Next in line, this is kind of my favorite. I reviewed it before with you. It's a Hunter. And again, there's a number of companies that make them. But this one is a Damascus. Really full tang, really robust. Bit of a saw. Again, I've got a bit of a draw knife. I've got a skinning blade on it. Beautiful wooden handle. And the scabbard is amazing because I have my, got my ferro rod in it. I've got sharpening stone, fire starting material in here, and package of dental floss, and I can use my sail needle to do repairs with that dental floss. And I've got a diamond sharpener on the back, right? So this is my favorite. Well, it's a tie with the Russell's knife, right? So I think, again, maybe you're a little more advanced, and this is something that I would suggest. Again, could you baton with it? You can. Could you chop with it? A little bit, right? A little bit. But again, if you're chopping, you should probably be using a hatchet or a tomahawk or something like that. I do have my Russell's knife with me, and I have it on my elastic retaining band. And again, they're pricey, but they're a beautiful, lightweight. You know, do fine carving. You can do just about. It does have a 90-degree spine, and it has a nice leather scabbard, and it's a deep carry, so it seats really far down, and you don't have to worry about losing that knife. So the next, yeah, your large fixed blade knives. What about folders? Well, again, buck 110. It locks out, razor sharp. Been around for 60, 70 years. They're just a great knife, and they make one now that's like a fast opener, one-hand thing. But I'm going to go back to the original all the time. I think they're just an amazing bargain. Again, if you watch the sales, you can pick these up for like $35, and I mean, that's crazy, right? So, buck 110. Of course, now I got to go to my Swiss Army, right? So I showed you the Swiss Army Farmer the other day. I think that's a really good compact camp knife. And I just misplaced it. I would have brought it today on that. But I have a Swiss Army Trekker, all right? And this has a saw, one-hand opener, bottle opener, can opener, screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver, 3D Phillips on the back and all. And it does have a locking blade. Of course, it has your tweezers, toothpick, and what have you. And I carried this. I've had this probably 30 years. It's a great knife, still sharp as can be, super dependable. Got a bit of orange paracord on it because you can see that if I drop it. And again, I read somewhere that these aren't available anymore. I'm not so sure about that. In fact, the U.S. military has issued this knife with green scales minus the toothpick and the tweezers. So it's still out there. It just might not be in this configuration, but you can still get it. And it's compact, fits in the pocket. You won't even notice that you have it. So the next step up from that is the Ranger Grip Swiss Army knife. And it's, in terms of tools, it's the same as this, but it's bigger. It's like it's on steroids. Really robust, long saw on it, one-hand opener. Again, your bottle opener, your can opener, and again, that doubles as a bit of a Phillips. If you notice the bottle opener. It's actually a throwback to Wenger. And it does have 3D Phillips on it. And it has an awl that you can sew with. It has, of course, your toothpick tweezers. But that said, it has what's called a Euro grip on it. And it's very ergonomic, and it's kind of rubberized. So you get a really good purchase on it. It's a, again, I don't work for Swiss Army. They're just fantastic. So that's it. And if you push the logo, the emblem, that breaks the lock and you can close it. You can also do it, it has a bit of a lock that you can push over there. And then I'll say this, you should always have a multi-tool with you. This is again my Burberry. Like I said, I using this in place of my wave. I don't see any difference in it whatsoever. Did a bit of a feather stick with it. This wood is not as, not cooperating as much as it could. It's old and dry, so it's a bit, it's hardwood, so it's kind of hard to do a feather stick with that. And then probably the last thing I'll get to is a very basic, this is the US, and I apologize, my nails are so weak, they fold back when I do this for you. And okay, it's basically a Boy Scout knife that was made for the U.S. military, and this one's made by Camillus. It's also called a demo knife because apparently legend has it that it came for engineers in a package, a demo, like a pack, right? And this came with it for cutting your safety fuse and whatnot. Okay, so again, what's neat about these is they're totally stainless steel, and it has this large bail on it so you can hang it and boil it and sterilize it. So again, if you're just starting, or you're your kids, your grandkids want to get into it, you want to give them something that they can whittle with and have some fun with, and they're not going to hurt themselves. That's a great choice. And of course you can get them from other companies that have either wood or bone scales on them, but essentially it is a Boy Scout knife. But it's I'm nostalgic and I kind of like it. And probably the final thing I'll get to is like some kind of eating tool. And this one, I don't know where I got it. Again, it's got to be 30 years old or more. It has fork and spoon. It's a little nut driver there. Has a screwdriver. I don't know if you can see that. It has a bit of a screwdriver on the end. It has a can opener. It has a blade, which is actually quite sharp and really nice for food prep. And it has a corkscrew on it. And I like this because it's all in one package and I can't really lose anything. And great. How much did I pay for this? Well under $20. But I think you can get them in Army surplus stores. I think they're a European kind of thing. That if you know, comment, because I like to learn. Probably the last thing I'll cover is these Hobo type tools. This is not a Swiss Army tool. tool. Don't get fooled by the scales, okay? It's not. Again, these are under $20, but it's got your can opener, your bottle opener, it has your spoon, your fork, your knife, corkscrew, and it comes apart so you can, you know, eat like a human, not like a spork where you're flipping it over and going back and forth. So I think for, again, if you're just getting into it, or if you're you want to give something to your grandkids or your kids so they can have some fun and they're not going to hurt themselves, this is a pretty cool thing to give kids. You know, you give this to them at Christmas time, they'll flip out. It's like giving a kid a flashlight, right? A flashlight, something like this. They're entertained for the rest of the year, right? So, yeah, these Hobo Tools is what I know them as. But they're again, inexpensive and a great thing to have around the camp because you can do many things with it. Probably the last thing I'll say is you should always have a multi-tool. I don't care who makes it. You should have a multi-tool because if you're picking up, you know, your cup of coffee, your bush pot off the fire, you need something to grab it with. And yeah, there's some pliers on here, but I always carry real pliers because they're real pliers. Okay, when I watch, again, reviews about multi-tools and everything else, it's not supposed to be a toolbox. It's a just in case. Okay, it doesn't matter who makes it or how much you pay for it. It's a just in case. All right. So otherwise, Snap-on Tools would drive around with a truck, and the only thing they'd have in it is a multi-tool. Okay, so enough said. So that's my, you know, my humble opinion on, you know, camp knives. And like I said, it's up to you how you spend your money. If you want to buy something that has that, you know, brand name on it, you can do that. Or you can get something that's very basic but appropriate for the task, and it actually functions and works. And if it's inexpensive, you can buy two. And if you lose one or break one, it doesn't really matter, right? So think about those things. I think this weekend we're going to get to Algonquin, okay? And I'll do my series from there. As always, again, I'm not good at this. Subscribe, notification, likes, comments. Again, good, bad, and different. I'm always happy to learn something from you. And me and the boy, Dexter. Dexter the boy, look at the camera. CTOA Urban Trail, and we're out.